Off the northeastern coast of Australia lies one of the most extraordinary living structures on Earth. The Great Barrier Reef stretches more than 2,000 kilometers, forming the largest coral reef system on the planet. It is a place so vast that it can be seen from outer space, and so delicate that it depends on the smallest organisms to survive. But today, the reef is facing the greatest crisis in its history. Rising ocean temperatures and accelerating climate change are pushing this living wonder to the edge of collapse. What once was vibrant and full of life is now being lost to climate change. Made up of almost 3,000 individual reefs, plus hundreds of islands, cays, and coastal lagoons, the reef isn't just big, it's alive. It supports extraordinary biodiversity and thousands of species of sea life. Corals form the foundation for this underwater metropolis. Their bodies create shelter, nurseries, and hunting grounds. Without them, the reef's complex communities could not exist. Over the last few decades, our oceans have warmed, bringing on a crisis for coral reefs around the world, especially the Great Barrier Reef. Coral depend on a fragile relationship with microscopic algae, tiny creatures that live inside their tissues. These algae provide coral with much of their color and nourishment, but corals can only tolerate a narrow range of water temperatures. When the sea becomes too warm for too long, this relationship cannot survive. The outcome of rising temperatures is known as coral bleaching. The coral expels its algae, losing color and losing food. Bleached corals are not necessarily dead, but they are starving and vulnerable to disease, stress, and death if conditions do not improve. In recent years, the Great Barrier Reef has endured repeated mass bleaching events. 2016 and 2017 saw two back-to-back summers of severe bleaching triggered by marine heat waves, some of the hottest sea temperatures in centuries.
Let's turn to Australia now, where water temperature extremes around the Great Barrier Reef are the warmest for 400 years. Over the last decade, it's resulted in more mass bleaching events of the coral. Scientists in Australia who have examined the skeletons of coral and historic data say the evidence is clear that the reef is in danger and governments have to act now against climate change.
The majority of the threat to the reef comes from human activity. Burning coal, gas, and oil releases carbon dioxide that heats the atmosphere and warms the ocean, becoming the main driver of mass coral bleaching. Agriculture along the coast adds fertilizer and sediment to the waterways, weakening the coral. Coastal development and increased tourism also disturb the reef, cloud the water, and put extra stress on the already fragile ecosystems. Despite the scale of this crisis, coral restoration projects are already in place to bring the reef back to its former glory.
There's two methods of coral propagation that we're using at the moment. Collect coral, put them onto nurseries that we've actually built under the water in the marine park, and then give the corals time in these nurseries to get to a suitable size where we can then plant them back into the damaged sites. The other method that we're trialling here at the moment is to use coral raceways that are actually out of the water. These tubs use raw water that cycles through them to basically replenish whatever's in there. So we actually grab the corals from the wild, put them into the raceways, leave them there in the raw water as it cycles in a controlled environment for 4 to 5 months till they get to that size we need, and then outplant them back into the wild, into the sites where we've had cyclone damage.
The Great Barrier Reef stands at a critical point. Its future will be determined by the choices made in energy, land use, and environmental management over the coming decades. The scientific path forward is clear. Reducing emissions, protecting water quality, and supporting marine life are essential. Whether the reef continues to function as one of the world's most important marine ecosystems depends on sustained, coordinated action at a local, national, and global level.